You're with Teddy and Tony on Everyday Conversations, where two mates get together every week, have a chat, we catch up, we hug virtually at the moment due to restrictions, and we just talk about our lives and hopefully it doesn't bore you to sleep. And with me, Tony, how are we feeling?
Teddy, doing really well. I feel like it's been a long time since we've spoken.
It
You feel like
has.
that to you?
Well, it has, because we've changed a little bit of the format of when we're recording. Not that anyone knows, but now we're doing it on a weeknight just to sort of spice up the
Ooh,
week a little bit, bring a bit of excitement to the weeknights. And no, it's actually been a bit longer, but you're always with me. You're in my heart, you're in my thoughts. And sometimes when you're doing the wrong thing, you're in my prayers. But that's neither here nor there. We're both here and we're here now.
no, I mean, likewise. I do think about you a lot. Not in any weird ways, but don't
This
worry about
episode
that.
is not off to a good start, mate. I'm
No,
telling you.
no, but seriously, but how are you? How are you, and how have you been? And how's your week been? And what highlights
Week's
did you
been
have?
good. Week's been good. So, for anyone who hasn't tuned into the show before, the whole premise of the show is we get together, broken down into five sections, and as Tony so eloquently put it, you just asked me about my highlight. That's the first section of the week. I've got a
Indeed,
pretty look. It's a nice highlight. I don't want you to get a complex or get jealous, but
I'll try not
friend
to, but okay.
friend of mine, tradie. So he's up and about. He's legally allowed to travel around for work, and he was in the area the other day, and he called me up, and I thought, oh, what's this bloke want? So then I finished what I was doing, went for a walk, and he says, "Hey, I'm in the area. Do you want to grab a coffee?" And I thought that's pretty cool. So we went and got a coffee. We walked around the block, just had a bit of a chat, but I hadn't realized that was the first friend I had seen in I don't even know how long. Everyone else I've seen's either been on a Zoom call or a Teams, like Microsoft Teams call, where you see the video, but I haven't seen a friend in ages. And I was just, it was exciting. It felt surreal, but it also felt like the last 7 months of isolation of not seeing people never happened. It was weird, but that's probably my little highlight of the week. I got a mango smoothie that had peanuts crushed throughout it. I recommend it. It was delicious.
Mango smoothie with peanuts.
Yeah, it sounds weird, but it was delicious.
Yes.
Unfortunately, paper straw, when I say unfortunately, environmentally friendly, love that. But you don't get that same firm suction that you do with like a plastic straw. And especially if you've got chunky peanuts that just need to come up, they
Oh,
just
I
need to
was
push
gonna
they're hard to get. They're playing hard to get.
and it's a world of hurt. Trust me, it's funny you bring that up because
Yeah.
I've had the smoothie a few times, and it's got those paper straws which look nice, but they're not very practical because let's just say I enforce a large amount of suction, which then unfortunately dissipates the straw itself. So when I'm
Yeah.
about halfway through the
Yeah.
smoothie, it's the straw doesn't work anymore, and then
I'm
I'm
hearing
kind of
you.
stuck. And
They're
I don't
good
know.
for
I mean,
quick drinks, yeah, quick drinks. But if they're sort of mellowing out in the liquid, then I mean, we all know what happens to paper, right? When it gets wet, it
uh,
loses that firmness.
Correct. And if you know, as people will know about me, I always take forever to finish any kind of drink, whether it's a coffee, a smoothie, a juice. So luckily, last time this happened, this was when cafes were still open.
Yeah.
So I naturally just said, "Can you give me another straw?" Which did kind of, was received with a bit of a bemusement because they look at my kind of dilapidated
Check
straw
out this
sitting on
guy.
the thing.
Yeah.
They're like, "Check out this guy! Like clearly he's got mouth issues or something." Anyway,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's good that you could see a friend, and I guess me being in the position a little bit different to you, where I have kind of gone for walks and the like, as there are, a couple of people living within the allowed 5 kilometer rule. So I have a little bit of that, not contact per se, because you're not allowed to touch anyone or anything. But for a second, did you kind of feel me like, is this real? Like, are you a real person? Or
Yeah, it was kind of because I've spoken to him a couple of times, so maybe that it didn't feel as weird. But it's I haven't seen him in ages. I haven't seen him in ages. So the last time I caught up with him was as soon as we had that break after the first wave, things started opening up again. We
yep,
went to the
yep.
pub, nice little pub, Clifton Hill Brew Pub. Recommend it. Good Palmers. They got a few different flavors down there. Anyways, we caught up and haven't seen him since. But yeah, we look similar. Both still alive and reasonably happy, I guess. So it was cool. It was cool.
I mean, and hopefully with what we're finding out on Sunday, if there's any easing, I mean, I really hope they remove that 5 kilometer restriction, because I feel like that would open up at least the ability to go on walks and the like with other friends who probably fit in within your 10 kilometers, including me, who is just outside that 5 kilometers. So no, that's really good. With me this week, it's a little bit different. There's been a few uh, tech related announcements, let's call it. Firstly, Apple, was it 2 days ago, announced their new iPhone. And you probably wonder, why is that a highlight for me? Because as I've alluded to, my current iPhone is somewhat not really working. And
Oh,
it's
yes.
been almost
The
3 years. So I kind of got on
battery
a 3 year
issues.
cycle.
Battery issues, yes?
Battery issues,
Yeah.
and I don't know, it's just I'm kinda over it, to be honest, and I've been looking forward to this iPhone for a while because they said it was gonna be a redesign. In fact, they just kind of reverted back to an older design. So now that they've finally announced it, at least now I know when it'll be coming, which, for anyone that, kinda listened to it, there's, like, 4 models, just to make it even more confusing, and the pre-orders actually start for certain models, next actually, tomorrow.
Right.
So,
Do people still
yeah,
get
my
around this in a big way?
yeah,
Like,
no, I believe
everyone's
so.
like, there's hype, everyone's excited, all that sort of stuff?
Well, that's what I'd like to think, but then if you looked at the Apple stocks, they actually fell by I think by 8% or something. But
Ah,
who knows
okay.
why that is? But
Yeah.
but I mean, and look, people were quite happy. And interestingly enough, though, they're not packing chargers this time around.
No charges are
Like,
coming with the phone.
yeah, like they're given the cable, but not the charger. And Apple is saying that this is because it will allow them to utilize less paper and it's more environmentally conscious. But people just think this is a money grab because now it's like you got to buy the separate chargers. But then again, if you have any phone in the last 4 years, you probably would already have
Everyone's
a
got it.
charger.
Yeah.
Correct. So I mean, at the end
USB
of the day,
ports
we don't
everywhere.
really
You look
need.
around your room, there's like 5 USB ports within sight. But they're being
Pretty
very
sure they
cheeky
hand
and
them
they're
out.
using that as an excuse.
No, I agree, but to be honest, they're probably like handing them out at Spencer Street Station anyway, right? And just yeah, you want an adapter. So that was one. The other one was the PS5, which was announced a little while ago.
PlayStation
Since we last
5?
spoke, PlayStation 5.
Yep.
I'm a little bit of a gamer, especially with the PlayStation. And this is actually going to be quite revolutionary. Don't ask me the tech specifics, but for once actually is quite powerful compared to a PC. So if anyone's kind of like into that, PC console. It looks like they're kind of, bridging the gap there. And then the other kind of highlight was a friend of mine invited me to their podcast, which was specifically to talk about soccer or
Okay. So
football around the world.
you've been on other shows.
I was a guest.
What about the non-compete clause that I made you sign at the start of this whole shebang?
Um, if you notice it, it was unsigned. Um,
Ah,
so it
cool.
was,
Okay.
yeah,
A
yeah.
bit clumsy on the paperwork, but that's my fault.
Yeah, I think maybe employer solicitor, and we can look at contract law and go through all
Mate,
that. But
I can't even afford to get the lights on in my house. You think I can afford a solicitor? No, you do whatever you want, man. You do podcasts. I don't know, whatever you want, whatever you want.
it's okay. There were only 4 segments on it, and highlights went on it. No, it was about soccer, and I quite enjoy soccer and talking about soccer and following all that. So no, that was definitely a highlight. It was definitely interesting. It was very different kind of speed, different content. There was actually 3 people involved, and everything was very different. So it was
We only
very
need two. We only need two. We're good enough just
correct.
to have two. We don't need three. We don't need balls involved. We're talking we're talking about absolute rubbish on this show. So that's
This
cool.
is what I mean. They were actually talking about soccer. Here we're just talking about
Yeah.
whatever's at our whim, really.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. There is a
so
little bit of pre-planning. We've got 5 post-it notes in front of us each. We also don't know what we're going to talk about, which is the other exciting part I think we forget to tell listeners at the start of the show. So it's a surprise every time we catch up.
it's a surprise, and the most I've written down is literally a line, and that's if you think about how long the show generally goes for, which is between 30 to 44 minutes. 5 lines does not really cover that much. The rest is just kind of
Yeah.
made up
I'm hearing it. We're
as we
like
feel.
spiders spinning a web out of nothing. That's totally cool. I'm digging that. So we've got a couple of tech things in there. Was there a third, or was it just the 2 tech releases this week?
2 tech things, the podcast, and another gaming related was there's a game that comes out every year, FIFA, which I mean, I don't know if you play it or if you play any of those kind of
No,
sport games or games,
no.
full stop.
I'm doing the whole real life thing over here. No games with me.
Hey, real life's a game, depending on how you look at it.
I'm kidding. I watch way too much TV. I'm trying to act all superior. Trust me, I'm wasting time doing non-productive.
You're basically playing the game of Sims in real life, where you just sit down, watch TV, eat, cook, go to bed, go
Yeah,
to a job.
And if there's a level that has someone driving around the streets absolutely aimlessly buying McDonald's ice cream cones, then that's probably the level I'm at as well. So,
I
all
think
good.
I think that's an expansion pack to the original game. But
I'm hearing you. Kind of like Pokemon
so
Blue and Red. Yeah.
oh, yellow. But no, that's good. Yeah, so pretty much like that. So it was a pretty eventful period of time since we last spoke.
Sounds pretty cool. Sounds pretty cool, and it sounds like you've had some serious highlights. I'm scared to ask what's caught your attention this week because I'm sure you've there's probably been a few things. So the next segment of the show is what's caught your attention for any new listeners. Tony, tell me what has caught your attention.
Yeah, well, after all the excitement and the highlights, the thing that I found interesting, which most people actually surprisingly didn't know in Australia, it might sound boring, but you know when you file your tax return and when it's been lodged, and then you get a notice of assessment, you actually receive another separate page which actually breaks down where all your taxes go. I don't know if you've ever read it
yeah,
or noticed.
yeah. No. I've looked at it. I've looked at it. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
so
a
you
colored chart. It's like a column. It's like a pie, not a pie chart. It's a graph, but it's like I don't know the name of that, but it's columns broken down in colors, and it's all the different like infrastructure. Um,
education,
yeah, you fill in the rest. I don't know. So,
healthcare,
yes, I've looked at it, but clearly I forgot it all.
defense. Yeah, no, like you said. So the thing is, you and I, we were actually quite across this, but surprisingly, a lot of people had no idea. So I'm like, I even asked you. I said, "So do you not look at your
Yeah.
tax returns after it's lodged?" Nope. So I was like, "You didn't know that you could?" Nope. I'm like, "Okay."
Oh, mate.
Um,
To most people, that might as well be bloody, get an extra chips and gravy added onto a Zinger Burger combo from the Colonel. Like, they don't know what that second page is they're throwing away.
Well, I think it's more like they're interested in, okay, am I paying tax or am I getting credit refund or I'm waiting on my tax time or I'm going to buy this with this. So I thought that was quite interesting that for people who didn't know that, it's actually quite well to look at it because the what I found out, which I actually found more interesting, was a lot of countries don't do that. We're like one of the very few that are that organized, where the government is that transparent. Now, whether
Full disclosure,
to the
yeah.
well, disclosure, like to the point where if 2% goes to healthcare of your tax that you've paid, is that actually happening? Like the thing is, you can actually verify it because the government themselves have like a paper which actually breaks down what they do for their spending overall anyway. And unlike say the US, any money that's decided at a federal level can go to the state level, and there's only kind of two levels. Whereas in US and other countries, you got like federal goes to states, go to counties, go to councils, and it's like all these different layers. And
Wow.
people were astounded. So there was actually a post on Reddit which demonstrated this, and all the commentary was actually quite funny because you had people like absolutely gobsmacked that this is what Australia was like, whereas in their respective countries they thought it was insane. Like in terms of even paying for public healthcare, 2%, that $400, whatever it is per month, per year. Sorry, they were shocked. So I thought that was really interesting. And then something that was just really small was I was having a conversation with someone and they said, "Oh, I'm going to get a Mac because they don't get viruses." And I said, "I don't think that's true."
That used
I
to be
mean,
the thing back in the day. That's what everyone thought. You can't
no,
get
no, no. That's
viruses.
what everyone thought. I still remember that from when we were at uni. Like, I'm getting a Mac, you can't get viruses. And I said, okay, but think of it kind of like seat belts, right? So you get a car, it has a seat belt. Doesn't mean that necessarily you're not going to get in an accident or you'll be safe. It just, and the reality was is that Macs actually get a lot of viruses. The thing is that they'll less reported because less people actually used Macs. So I was trying to look up to see how many people use Macs. I couldn't get a number. I think it was like 10 to 15%, maybe 20%
Right.
of total users. So you think, so naturally speaking, due to survivorship bias, you'll only hear about the major viruses because it affects more of the population. So it was just a fallacy that Macs don't get viruses. I just thought it was interesting because a lot of people think that's the case, still think that's the case.
Yeah, look,
So
I
they
didn't know
don't.
that. I didn't know that either. I'm pretty surprised by that. But Macs have a pretty big market share considering the other. I mean, the competitors, that many different brands. Windows, I'm guessing, is the only other
It's
competitor.
Windows. It's Windows versus Macs. Windows
Yeah,
is still
yeah.
a significant majority, even to date. So anyway, so that's what I found interesting. What caught your attention this week?
Okay. Now this is a headline that will grab a person. I saw it. I can't remember what it was, but I saw it, and then I looked up an article. It would have been on Facebook or something. Patron saint of the internet. There is a teen, first millennial, that might become the patron saint of the internet. Okay, have you heard of this at all?
I actually have not at all.
Okay, so so to become a saint, you need to have sadly died. But he could be the first millennial to become a saint, and it's going to be the patron saint of the internet. His name is Carlo Acutis. He's an Italian teenager, or was an Italian teenager. Sadly, he died of leukemia in 2006, aged at 15. But he's so right now he's been dubbed the patron saint of the internet. He's at the stage just before you become a saint. So we'll look. Stay tuned, everyone. But some of the things he's done is the teenager recorded he recorded purported miracles online and helped run websites for Catholic organizations. He was also placed on the path to sainthood after the Vatican ruled he had miraculously saved another boy's life. And the church claimed he interceded from heaven in 2013 to cure a Brazilian boy who was suffering from a rare pancreatic disease. He is believed to be the youngest contemporary person to be beatified, the last stage before sainthood. Now, all of that I've been reading from a BBC article, just full disclosure, just in case anyone hears and thinks, that sounds familiar, but that's where it came from. That's what caught my attention that week. That's what caught my attention this week. Mind blown. Not
Wait,
something you see every day.
I got so many questions. Wait, so he
I
passed away in
probably won't be. I
2006.
probably won't be able to answer them. But go on.
Well, no, you're the expert on this now.
Yeah.
Patronage. So
You
I'm
know,
coming to you
I
with
go
all my
headline.
patronage
I
questions.
go headline, and then I read like the first half of the article. And if anyone asks any more questions, when we're not a news program, people, this is not
No,
the news.
I'm more curious. Like,
No,
I
go
mean,
ahead. I've
okay,
read a bit
so
of it. I've read a bit of it.
yeah, yeah, no. So 2006, he passes away. So here's a question. So what is the process? Like, who decides who becomes a patron? Like, first of all, so he saved lives. Did he save lives while he was alive, or has it all happened
During
kind of?
his time. Yeah, no. During his time, he was doing some stuff. And the way the article writes it, he was the way the article writes it, they make it sound like he was helping run some websites. That sounds like a little admin job. I'm sure he did way more than that, but he was involved. He was in and around the miracle sphere of either observing or creating them. Now, that's all I know. I swear
And
to
he
you, that is
descended
all
from
I
the
know.
heavens in
Yeah. Hey,
2013.
BBC,
How do
not
they
me.
know it was him?
BBC. I don't know, man. I
I'd
think
love
I
to be the
think
guy
the
reporting that.
I think the typical Renaissance painting of the clouds opening up and then the light shining through. I think that's what happened there. We can only
So
guess. We can only guess.
So instead of like, oh my god, instead of oh my god, it's Jesus, the guy said, oh my god, it's what's this guy's name? Mario
Carlos Acutis.
Carlos.
How dare you? How dare you?
Car-
There are Italians everywhere offended by that. You could have gone with
no,
Luigi.
I honestly heard Mario. Yeah, Carlo.
That's okay.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
It is.
I'm just
You're now.
wondering, is there like, I guess the process to become a saint is chosen by the church, but I guess it's not like there's an interview or anything because unless you descend again
Yeah,
for the
I don't know
interview.
if there's a process. I don't think it's like going for promotion at work when you climb the corporate ladder.
Performance reviews.
Yeah, yeah. You sit down with your bishop, then he sits down with the pope, and then it
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
goes like up the chain that way. Look, now the next one is actually a bit more profound. There's a second thing that caught my attention.
yeah, yeah.
McDonald's has introduced a Parma burger called the Palmy
I've heard
burger,
that.
so like a Parmigiana, and they also now have chicken salt. So that was something else that caught my attention this week. And look, obviously
Uh,
that doesn't compare to becoming a saint, but it was definitely something that caught my attention. Have you seen that? Chicken salt,
I
they're too late
saw.
to the party, by the way. Chicken salt,
Okay.
that's old school.
I saw the palmy burger because I saw it just kind of posted. It's a shame I don't eat meat anymore, so I did like a parma back in the day. But chicken salt,
You could probably
like,
do an eggplant parma.
oh yeah, there's some really nice eggplant parmas back
Yeah.
in. There was one really good one in St Kilda, which unfortunately we can't go to right now because of everything. But chicken salt though, that's what KFC already used from memory on their chips.
Now,
It
that's a
was
really
chicken
good
salt, wasn't
question.
it?
I don't know. I don't know if that's like a secret recipe salt, or if it's just straight
Oh,
up chicken salt.
I'm
It's
pretty
definitely
sure it's just
different.
Aldi chicken salt or something. I mean, it's not
No,
special.
it's more special than that, mate. It is a
Okay.
unique flavor. KFC salt has a unique flavor. I disagree with that. You have sinned on this show. We're going to get hate mail for that comment. I'm telling you, we're
Well,
going to get hate
I
mail.
guess I'm not becoming a saint then. I guess there goes that.
No.
My
I mean,
future.
look, someone else has already done the whole internet before you got there. So that's cool. That's cool. But look,
No, that's
that's it.
interesting. Is it available now? Have you tried it? Are you going to try it? Will
The
you try it
chicken salt.
tomorrow? No, the palmy burger.
Oh no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not interested. I'm just waiting for the pubs to open up so I can actually do the proper thing.
That's interesting. I guess for the next part, has anything annoyed you this week? Because you tend to get pretty annoyed every week. So
Yeah, look, things
what was
things
it this week?
things pop up, man. I can't help it. Like, when you're living around other people, things happen that they kind of annoy you. So look, where I live, it's a shared complex, townhouses, but shared complex, so everyone shares the recycling and the bins. So you go into the bin room, and basically what's there is one recycling bin and then two rubbish bins. Now, mind you, since we've moved into working from home restrictions, the recycling bin is packed after like 2 days. We need another
Yeah.
recycling bin in there. So that's annoying in itself. That's not what I want to talk to you about. What I want to talk to you about is people not crushing their boxes. Okay. So we're talking, you go in there, you're clearly sharing this room and these bins with other people. Everyone knows that the recycling bin space is a bit scarce now that we're all working from home. You know it's getting full after a couple of days, people. Everyone knows this. You go in there on the second day, you know there's more rubbish to come throughout the week for the remaining 5 days before bin day. And in there is a full, like basically not a full box, but a box that has just been, someone's emptied it, thrown it in there. I'm not talking a small box. I'm talking like a moving houses box. Okay, it's just been thrown
Uh,
thrown in there upside down, so not even open side up, so that someone can come in and throw things in afterwards, but upside down. So it's clearly just going to have all this hollow space. So I saw that and I thought that's not right. So this is what I did. Okay, I reached in, I pulled out the box. Okay, I went upstairs. I got a permanent marker, and then on the side, I wrote a little message for everyone that could walk in there. Okay. So I said, whoever put this box in here, it's clearly a shared complex. Underline the word shared. Please learn how to live with everyone and crush the box next time. And I left it out there. And then about a minute later, I could hear this crushing, someone ripping apart this box in the room.
oh, really? Did you see
and
what?
then and then I saw him walking away. And I saw him. I didn't see his face, but I just saw him walking away, and I thought at least he's learned in a friendly capacity, and I'm not some crazy person that's out there just waiting for him with potentially some sort of dangerous intentions, if you will. So I thought that was a friendly way to let someone know that this is how you live with other people, and that's what annoyed me. And that's what annoyed me during the week.
Yeah, and then I guess you can talk about it on your weekly podcast. So
Absolutely,
to shout out to whoever this guy is,
bin man.
Teddy's neighbor,
Yeah,
the
Teddy's
bin man.
neighbor. Yeah, exactly.
uh,
Exactly.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting. I've noticed the same thing because I live in an apartment complex. There's not too many apartments. It's only about six stories high, and maybe about 7 or 8 apartments on each floor. And I have noticed sometimes where like you can tell the bins are really full. But saying that, I get an email forwarded from the leasing agent, an email that the body corp has sent, and it's always literally every few weeks. It's always an email saying whoever has left this hard waste on the floor, please make sure you get rid of it. And it's stuff from like a lamp to a chair to
Yeah.
just random garbage.
Yeah.
And it's just awkward because the photo's there. And I mean, I'm pretty sure they could look at the cameras if they really want to find out who it was.
Yeah.
And
They
then
should
it's
leave a
like,
note that says, "Don't make us shame you publicly,"
no, no, no,
because we
no,
will
no.
do it.
They do. They say if the responsible person does not come out and collect it, then basically they have to call the hard waste collection, and then the fee will be covered by obviously whoever owns it. So as a renter, it doesn't affect me, but as a landlord, it's basically saying if you don't get rid of it, the cost is going to be shared. So it's a
That's pretty
very
good.
like
That's a good way to do it. I like
it's
that.
a very good, nice collective way to deal with it. But yeah, and it's just amazing. Like who would put things there like that? Someone put a bicycle once, like a broken bicycle. It
That's
was
just
it
rude.
was
That's
ridiculous.
rude. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, no.
completely agree.
Luckily for me, it doesn't affect me. I just thought it'd be interesting. It was just interesting. Actually, usually I'm quite chill, but this week I actually did get annoyed, like genuinely annoyed at something. Um, so I went to Woolies, local Woolies, and I had to pick up some detergent, some washing detergent that was actually on special online that I looked at.
Oh, good.
Uh,
Okay, that's good. So you're looking at the specials before you go down there. Everyone's trying to save a bit of money, thrifty, and yeah, that's good. Keep going.
Correct, because it's in walking distance to me, I thought, oh, I'll just when I finish my walk, I'll just walk to Woolies because it's literally about 3 minute walk away. So it's a laundry, it's detergent. It's usually $22. It was $11, and it was a very specific one. So I walk in, I check it out, I go to the aisle, and Lo and behold, it's still $22
Okay.
on the rack. So I'm like,
Hold on, hold on. What night did you go?
I went. When was it? Last Monday. This
Okay.
Monday.
Definitely not Tuesday?
Definitely Monday.
Okay, go.
I'll ask why in a second.
I don't wanna
Uh,
ruin your story. I feel like I
yeah,
already know.
yeah, yeah,
Sorry,
yeah,
go on.
yeah. No, no, no. So I go, okay, interesting. Then so me and my family use the same like this particular detergent. So I rang my father just to ask, oh, hey, did you know about this thing? Did you get it? He goes, yeah, yeah, no, I got it from the local one, which is a different suburb, for $11. So I'm like, okay. So then I went up to the counter and I said, "Look, excuse me, you got this online sale. It says $11, but the rack's got 22. So, can you like scan this for me and just double check?" And the guy goes, actually, that's an online price and it's different to in store. So no, we can't do anything about it. Don't worry about it." I'm like, "Alrighty then, okay." So then I walk out. Then I call my dad and I explain this, and he goes, "No, no, no, no. It's like, oh, sorry." And the guy asked me, "Oh, did you put in the postcode for the particular
Yeah,
suburb
the old
for it?"
postcode trick, yeah.
And I said, "I honestly don't know. I just kind of looked it up." He goes, "Well, that's probably why, because it's not for this. It's not in store." I'm like, "Okay." But then when I talked to my dad, he goes, "Actually, it was in store, and he did pick it up for $11." So I went back and I showed my phone. I said, "Look, excuse me." It was a different lady this time. And I said, "Look, it's $11 online and it's $20 in store. Can you just give it to me for $11?" And then you know what she said? She goes, "Well, actually, it's an online price, and you can't buy it for $22." And I said, "But look, I know it's $11 in another store. So why can't you just give this to me for $11? Like, it's not about money, it's just the principle, right?" She's like, "No, it's online price only. We can't do anything." I said, "But
Mm.
I don't understand. So you're telling me I can stand 2 meters away right in front of you right now, order it online, and click and collect in this exact supermarket where
Yeah.
you will go and pick it up and give
Now
it
it's
to me
not
for
making
$11?"
sense. Yeah.
And then I said, "So you're telling me this is how it works?" And she goes, "Well, yes, because we're encouraging people to shop online." And I said, "Hold on, hold on, hold on. I didn't say this. I'm thinking in my head, I'm here physically in person. So how is this motivating me to buy it online? I don't understand." And I said, "Can you just not give it to me $11? Or do you want me to spend 10 minutes and buying this in front of you?" She's like, "I can't override it." And I'm thinking in my head, this is ridiculous. Like, surely in today's world, you can give it to me for $11. You can override it. And it's just a matter of like logic. Where's the logic in this? Clearly, she just didn't care and didn't want to help. So anyway, so that was kind of annoying
Were you
because
at
I
least
thought,
working your way up like the chain here? Like you started out at like, the 16-year-old that's got the pimples doing the fruit and veg. Did you at least get to like the supervisor, or are you like
no,
just going
I was
laterally
going
across all the
to,
frontline stuff?
but if you
Like
remember on
we
Monday,
know
it was
better
kind
than
of,
this.
and I thought, man, I've already explained myself, and I'm literally applying logic here. And in today's world, you can override anything, even if it's zero. I'm sure they could do it.
Yeah.
And the best part was the whole, "Oh, we're trying to get people to shop online." I'm like, "But I'm here in front of you, and I would be shopping in front of you right now." So anyway, so that was annoying. So I didn't get it. But I was like, I've already wasted 6, 7 minutes trying to talk to this person. And you couldn't even argue that she was under the pump because it actually wasn't that busy. It was like two
Yeah.
o'clock on a Monday.
Step aside, sir. You just turn around
Yeah.
like, what?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
exactly. I was just almost literally, I was actually shaking my head. I said, "This makes no sense." And I'm, as you know me, I'm not usually one to
Yeah.
kind of say these kind of things, but it was
Yeah.
quite ridiculous. So anyway, that's what annoyed me this week. And yeah,
Speaking of things
um,
that don't make sense,
yeah,
look, I've got a friend. This is another annoying thing. I'll broach it very simply without using names or specific people. But I've got a friend who is an avid supporter of a certain divisive political leader. Okay.
mm, hmm,
Now, look, I'm not going to say any names. I don't want to give it
yep,
away.
yep,
But when it comes to, you point out certain things that this political leader might do, and when you point them out, the responses range from trying to just respond with some facts. That's at best some facts, but usually it
if
ranges
you're
from
lucky.
facts if you're lucky, or
Yeah,
just things that don't make sense, contradictions. When people dig their heels in and they potentially know they're in the wrong or they don't believe it. That's another thing that's annoyed me this week. I've got to be careful because I don't want to name any names or
mm, mm,
situations, but
mm, mm, mm.
I think you can kind of probably understand the sort of situation that I'm talking about or person. But it's similar to what you were going through. It's like kind of you almost want to start banging your head. Yeah,
and you're
that's
just like,
more
the
the point I
person
was going to
doesn't
make.
get it.
The head banging thing. You're like, hold on, where are the cameras? I'm getting trolled right now. What's
Is this
going on
is this
here?
an
Is
episode of
this
Punk'd?
yeah,
Do you
or
remember
is
Punk'd?
this is yeah? I definitely remember punks. Or is this an advertisement for like a bad customer service experience? For like a training video, and they're showing how not to treat customers because you guys are ticking all the boxes right now. Maybe that's what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I was astounded because you know me, I'm very calm when I speak, and I was literally kind of just explaining the
Borderline, yeah,
situation. I said,
veins popping in the head and stuff. Yeah,
"Yeah, no, exactly." And what you were referring to, it's I think we all go through it where politics aside, that in itself generally divides people, and
yeah,
people
yeah.
really
I
like
explained
to
that terribly, by
entrench
the
them.
way, as well. But
No,
I
no, no,
think you
it
know what
actually
I'm
makes
talking
sense.
about. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, because you kind of entrenched in a belief, and I think scientific studies have shown that when someone believes something and you actually provide them with contrary evidence,
mm.
they're actually more likely to reaffirm their own beliefs and actually dig in harder, as you said.
Yeah.
It's actually a human psychological thing,
Yeah.
from what
But
I understand.
then it's almost to the point where you say to yourself, "Hold on, that's actually supporting my point." Like, look, just let it go, bro. Let it go. Come on,
You're like,
man.
it's like this
Yeah.
evidence you're showing is
Yeah.
contradicting you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It reminds me
I
of
just
a couple of
speechless.
videos where they ask certain followers of certain people and ask them questions, and they have no idea what they're answering.
Yeah.
It's
Now, I think I've spoken enough code that no one would have any idea what I'm talking about, which is good.
no, not at
But
all.
look, onto the next section, my friend.
Yep.
Little social. So this is always a fun one because there's always something on social media that you catch. But social media soundbite. What have you seen on the threads online this week?
Yeah, I've actually usually I'm a big thread person where I like talking about stories, but this time it's actually I've watched a few random little videos, and I'll just touch on each one like really, really quick. You might have seen them all. One of them was very simple, and it sounds simple, but when you watch it, it's quite funny. Is it's just someone kind of just running down the street, going on a run, and for some reason they're being recorded by one of those dash cams or someone's house, which sounds a bit stalkerish, but he's just running naturally,
Yeah, yeah.
and then all of a sudden, a cat falls on him, and he just like collapses on the ground, like falls straight to the ground and collapses and passes out.
Terrible.
And you think,
I've not
and you
seen
think,
that.
no, and can you imagine like you're late to work or late to school? What happened? Yeah, a cat fell on me
Oh, you got to
from the
make something up.
sky,
No, you
and
don't go with
then
the cat. You make something up. You
but that's
don't
the irony
go
of
with
the
the cat.
it's
Yeah,
like, yeah, just like your dog ate your homework. You
yeah,
know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
it's kind of
yeah.
like so that was just ridiculous, very small, but kind of funny because I thought, how
That's
what are
good.
the odds of that
I
happening?
like that. Yeah.
Um, yeah, the another one was a video of a young woman making chili in a big wok in public, but then dancing whilst kind of preparing the chili in this wok, and she was kind of like moving around and then swirling the big wok around back and forth,
Was it
and she
like a
was dancing.
suggestive dance, or what sort of dance are we talking
No,
here?
it was, I mean, it was just it wasn't suggestive, it
Just
wasn't
your run of
interpretive.
the mill dancing, like hip
Just
hop,
kinda
or
dancing, yeah, kinda like hip hop-ish, but, but while holding the wok, so she's still, like, moving with the wok,
oh, it's
kinda
impressive,
dancing,
and
right?
she's got a crowd
But
too.
yeah, she's got a crowd, and you know what song it was? Gangnam Style,
Of course it was.
out of all
Yeah,
songs,
yeah.
and she was kinda trying to doing a little bit of that, the horsey move, or I don't know what you call the move. You know, the
Sure you
horse move
don't.
with the
Just say the
yeah.
name. Say the specific name that Sai calls it. I know you know it.
I actually don't know what it's
Dude,
called.
I'm kidding, guys. I'm kidding.
G
I know
Gallop?
you know. I hope
Horse
not.
gallop.
Yeah, but yeah, okay. So she's got a
Sounds like a
crowd.
euphemism, but legitimately, I think it's a horse gallop.
I've
But anyway,
derailed.
she's got
I've
a crowd.
derailed the flow by accusing you of knowing the side dance. I apologize for that, listeners, and I apologize to you mostly. You're more of a just Macarena. We're doing the Macarena over here.
Mambo number 5, thank you.
Wow, I'm showing my age. Macarena rocks, everyone. I used to do it in primary school back in the day, school discos. I was wondering why all the young females stayed away from me, but that's neither here nor there. Continue, please, Tony.
They thought you were some old anyway, the, saying that though, I actually really do like the Gangnam song. I've watched the
Yeah,
clip many times. If out of those billion views, I
join
probably
the club.
contributed a little bit to it. I really, really enjoyed it, and what I loved more than that was the parodies. I don't know if you got to see many parodies, but
No.
there's a really good one called Mitt Romney Style, which is it's like 10 years old now. But if you've not seen it, for people that don't know, Mitt Romney was a presidential candidate from many years ago, came from extreme wealth, was the founder of Bain, if anyone knows that management consultancy company.
No.
And oh yeah, so he's extremely, and he's also infamous for saying, I don't really care about the 47%, which was basically alluding to the minority of the people who don't vote. He actually openly stated that. Yeah. Anyway, so that
Okay.
parody was Mitt Romney style. So if you look at that and look at him himself, it actually is a very one of the better parodies of Gangnam Style. So that was that video. I was just like thinking, I can barely cook in a wok, let alone dance with a wok. So,
Yeah.
and I really
Yeah,
hope
yeah,
that
yeah.
chili was good.
I
Probably
know.
pretty good chili.
I like my chili, and I'm sure she's done it justice for sure.
Yeah, and
Uh,
then the other one, which you might actually, I'm pretty sure you would have seen this one, was a video footage of a dude who was being chased by a cougar for 6 minutes, and we're talking about
no.
cougar the animal. Just
Yeah,
for clarity.
I assumed that because
Yeah, no, because
if it was a cougar in real life, he would have just given up and gone, "Oh, you got me." But yeah, anyways.
and I don't think it would have gone for 6 minutes. Plus, the video wouldn't have been that exciting.
No,
Um,
not unless he's yeah.
different cut.
Anyways, go on.
Different kind of video, but yeah. So basically, it shows him just like this cougar chasing him, and he's trying to scare it off, and like all this, and yeah, he was. It was quite scary to watch. 6 minutes, he's literally just recording with a cougar like jumping at him. It was interesting to watch the cougar because you think when it moves or jumps, it kind of like spread its legs really randomly when it was
Yeah,
jumping. It was really strange, but
yeah.
quite exhilarating.
Not something
But
I'd
then
want
when
to
I
see up close.
no, but then see there was
Oh,
some
look, in
commentary.
fairness, I probably I would have taken it down, I think.
You would have, engaged in, fisticuffs with, the
That
cougar?
cougar wouldn't have stood a chance. Me and the cougar, I'm taking the cougar.
So you're agile, you're kinda like Muhammad Ali back in the day.
No, look, I would have been cat food for sure, 100%. No, I wouldn't have stood a chance. I would have run, and the cougar would have completely destroyed me. But it
Pretty sure
sounds like this
cougars
is the
are
right move. This person, whatever they were doing, 6 minutes and survived to tell the tale. Please tell me they live.
but I don't
They
know
live.
why you'd start I don't know what yeah, well, I mean, that's it's not like Blair Witch Project where they found a video.
Hey, that is freaky. That made me not like camping for 2 years. Anyways,
No. As a kid, when before the internet, I mean, once again, we're showing a bit of our age here, but the Blair Witch Project came out and they found this cassette, and this was back before internet was even like a real big thing.
yeah.
So when it came out, people thought it was a legitimate video of these campers that went missing. And it
Oh,
turns out it was all just a movie.
it's perfect. It's perfect for that. I mean, it's so like that that when I went camping and we used to go like bush bashing at
Yeah,
when parents were
yep.
sitting around the campfire and stuff. And fresh off watching that movie just before Christmas, yeah, I didn't really like the whole walking through the bush at night with the other kids as much as I did in previous years.
Bashing where you're literally just going through a bush and you have like a little compass because you're meant to go in some direction and you just literally like
Well, you'd go
whacking
off.
through it.
There were known paths. You wouldn't go like literally with a machete trying to chop through blackberry bushes and stuff. There were known paths that you'd walk through, and you'd have torches and stuff, and you'd see animals, and it was just I don't know. When you're a kid, it's having fun was not expensive, put it that way. But now that would be just walking through the bush to an adult. Yeah,
Yeah, or recording it and putting it on TikTok or something and being like, wow, I'm in a bush. I don't
that
know.
I'm down for. But yeah, anyways, go on.
Yeah, no, what did you see on social media this week?
On social media this week, this is interesting. So the Yakuza in Japan, they're punishing them in a new way. So this I got from Next Shark, some Instagram thread. And look, I don't know if it's true. I don't want to know if it's true, actually. But to punish
Wait,
them,
wait, sorry. Did you say Instagram thread?
look, is that what the kids are saying these days? I don't know.
Uh,
Whatever's
I,
cool, man.
I,
It's
I thought it was a page, but anyway, go.
It's a page on Instagram,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call that. Look, I don't know. It's on Instagram, okay?
Yeah, continue.
Yakuza not allowed to give children Halloween candy. The government says this is how they're punishing them. Okay, so they found a way to ostracize the Yakuza underworld groups by banning their members from giving candies out to children who are out trick or treating during Halloween. Okay, now let's take a look and see what they're trying to do. They've been handing out candies to the children at their headquarters during Halloween since 2013, but they've effectively banned them, and some of the punishments are really serious. But I just saw that and I thought, that's an interesting way. So they can receive fines of up to 500,000 yen, which is about 4,716 US dollars. And
Wow.
yeah, they can face up to 6 months in prison. So that's another way of tackling Yakuza. I mean, whatever works, right? And it seems they got a soft spot for the kids. Want to give out the candies? Well, guess what? you might go to jail for 6 months. So no more. And that's what caught my attention on social media. Along with another Japanese tourist who they've just opened up Machu Picchu for. Have you seen that?
I did see. I think is that where he was like stranded and they he what
Stranded,
to allow him to see it because
7 months
he was there.
stranded, and somehow he rallied up a lot of support from the local community. I don't know how that worked. All the articles I've read didn't seem to show that part. That was the part that intrigued me the most, right? But anyways, so he's rallied up support and convinced the local government to basically take him up there, one man tour, okay? And then he puts on his Instagram, I'm the first tourist to visit Machu Picchu since lockdown. I thought it was cute. I thought it was a nice feel good story. But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, how
How
did
did he
he
get
get
here?
them to do that? Look, I mean, that's maybe the sinister part of me, but that was the first thing my mind went to.
He's Japanese.
However, cute, good story. He's up there, Japanese tourist, stranded alone, can't get back home, whatever. And he's up there seeing something he wanted to end his trip on because he was on like a round the world trip. Apparently, he's a boxer, so he's going around learning different styles of fighting. And this is probably not needed for the story, but yeah, he was ending in Machu Picchu, and he finally got his wish. So
And
that's
he was
what I
there for
saw.
7 months.
He's been not in Machu Picchu, but in Peru, and he's been stranded there. I don't know who he's hanging out with, if he's living local with the family, living by himself. I don't think he's living on the street homeless, but I think he's lonely, so he's gotten a special little tour up there, and that's something that I think most people would potentially dream of, and just it would never be possible. This guy's had it.
Yeah, but imagine going on like the Eiffel Tower and being the only person there.
Now that would be cool, or going to the Colosseum and stepping out and just any of the lines that Russell Crowe says in Gladiators. That would be cool.
Man, I love Rome and the Colosseum. It's surreal being there because you kind of imagine this is where people gladiators actually fought. Like this stuff actually happened. Like
I know,
actual right there,
I know,
right there. Like,
I know. It's crazy. And then you go to the Forum, which is right nearby. It's like even older than when the Colosseum was around. Just Rome in general, just the whole country, Italy. Traveling around is beautiful. Recommend it if you can get over there. Which is probably not going to be for another 25 years to everyone who's listening, but that's fine.
people
Um,
could retire there at this rate.
yeah. So look, over to you. Over to you. What else you got for us?
No, I was gonna say, with the children's candy, like, is there a rationale why it's that? Is it something like no? Not only do Yakuza like to give it, but
Hmm.
did they think that it influences the kids to think that the Yakuza are actually nice people?
Yeah, that's
Because
pretty
I
interesting.
know we've mentioned that they do a lot of good things for the community, but specifically these kids, is it kind of like a to kind of sway the younger generation or the family or whatever it is that
Yeah.
away from the Yakuza
You're
for
spot
whatever
on.
reason.
No, you're spot on.
Yeah.
So the authorities are acting, and this is from the article, the authorities are acting to deprive the Yamaguchi Gumi of any, apologies to my Japanese comrades,
I was gonna, that's because I don't even.
destroyed the pronunciation of that word. So the Yamaguchi Gumis of any good public relations that might make them appealing to young people. So they're
Yeah,
trying to
there we go.
deprive any publicity, good publicity. I mean, look,
So
the
they can hand out
overshadowing part of that
iPhones,
story
but
is the
not candy.
pronunciation.
So they
Hey,
can hand out iPhones, but not candy, according to this. I feel like
uh,
there's a few loopholes here.
there's plenty. So they've been trying to ostracize the gang from society for some years, and this is just the latest measure to do that. So there's yeah, that's to your point. Yes, they're trying to get kids to turn on them because they didn't give me candies when I was a little kid. But yeah, Tamagotchi all the way.
I was gonna say, I just feel like this opens up a whole big thing of another recruiting drive where you can literally give anything else. I mean, anyway, these days as well, like, is candy still a thing that impresses kids?
In Japan, I'm not too sure. Maybe they're giving out Pockies or like Boss coffees. I don't know. Pocky's delicious. I don't mind me a Pocky. When I was over there, I'd always end the night with 4 cans of highballs from the local family mart and a packet of Pocky. So look, I was doing enough exercise during the day of walking around that I should have looked like a twig, but with a nightly routine such as that, I just maintained a healthy weight. Anyways, that's my little story.
No, that's good. And a recommendation, which is actually the next topic, is not actually to go to Italy. I mean, that is a recommendation, but not this week's recommendation, given it's not exactly practical. But what have you got for us this week?
All right, I got
Right.
you. I got you covered. I got you covered. So I was listening to a podcast. I think it's called the Muscle Podcast. So it's this guy
The
that used to be a bodybuilder. How did I come
Yep.
across that? Not because I've been working out.
I was gonna say, are you trying to work out? Are you trying to be the next Schwarzenegger?
No, interesting. I was reading on. I think it was one of Tim Ferriss's books. We talked about him before. Um, It was a process called the Dickens process, which I won't go into because it's going to sound a lot like the heel step that I went through a little while ago. But Google it, anyone.
I'm still
Tony Robbins.
healing, by the way. Still
Tony
healing.
Robbins came up with this Dickens process. It's actually really
Yep.
cool. It's about
Yep.
changing your beliefs across three different timelines. So you go into the past, look at yourself in the past, present, and future, and then you're able to see how certain beliefs are sort of impacting you across the timeline, which is a different way to sort of rewire your brain. Anyways, I googled that or looked it up on Spotify, came across a podcast that talked about that, but it also talked about a few other things. The muscle dude was interviewing a guy that's into neuro linguistic programming, NLP, if
Yes.
you're aware of
I've
that.
heard of it.
So it's like a pseudoscientific approach to communication, personal development, and psychotherapy. That's straight from Wikipedia, just the headline page.
I
And
was like, wow, you've really studied this well.
yeah, we're going to sound like we know what we're talking about, right?
Oh yeah, we're
So
totally experts on every single thing we talk about. Yeah.
So look, I feel like I want to give this. I want to give the guy a bit more credit. He is so Mr. Bodybuilder is interviewing this NLP guy, and one of the things I talk about is how to close out the day. And my ears pricked up because I thought this is pretty cool. When you go to sleep at night, the brain's buzzing most of the time, more so than it is during the day. And it's the reason it's doing that is because you haven't actually closed out the loop on the day. And I thought that was a pretty interesting concept. So I kept listening. And the reason when you go to bed, the sort of the timeline of the brain is still wide open and it thinks all this stuff needs to be done. So he talks about a couple of little handy techniques to basically go to bed and sort of switch your mind off. There's a lot in the lead up to preparing for bed. You don't have phones on, you got to do not a lot of lights, maybe do something different that is not your
We
work.
always hear about it, but how many people actually implement it practically?
Are we talking about,
The no
switching off?
phones.
Oh,
The no
no,
phones thing.
no one, no one's doing that, mate. It's basically. I'm reading through Twitter. We've got the U.S. election at the moment. We don't get too much into politics, but U.S. election, mate, that is addicting to read. So yeah, I'll be going through that. And but look, to close out the day, close the loop on the day. This is what I thought was pretty interesting. Okay, so the tip that Mr. NLP drops is asking yourself two questions. So basically, sit down on the couch or on the bed, wherever it is. Let the mind sort of wander for a bit. There's going to be a lot of chatter going on. Just let that run through. Wait until it quietens down, and then ask yourself two questions. Have I done my best today? The answer is usually no, right? So have I done my best today? No. What can I do that's going to make it more better tomorrow? Okay, that's number one.
Mm.
Number two is, have I been nice to myself today? Have I been kind to myself today? And usually the answer to that is no, in some form,
Almost
in some
always
form
no.
or another,
Yeah,
some form or another.
correct.
So then you ask yourself, okay, no, what can I do differently tomorrow? Now, those two questions, ask yourself, it closes the loop on the day. And basically, you go to bed with a bit more of a still mind. And I've done that for the past couple of nights, and it's worked out pretty successfully. So that's definitely one thing that I'd recommend. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, that's really interesting because you're right. Usually at nighttime, and I feel this generally is like almost the first time you're alone with your thoughts. So unless you do, a sort of meditation or the silence thing that we've talked about, all the little different things here and there, which you can do during the day, but right at the end of the day, it all kind of comes to heed. You're lying down, like you said, you might be on the phone, or you close your eyes and you just start thinking, like you said, all the noise and all the little waves going around. So it's interesting that, and this is coming from a point of what is it, neuro linguistic programming, which is where
Programming.
the
Yeah.
brain, yeah,
Yep.
so the brain works, and it makes sense. It's like a loop because it's kind of like, and when it said, what can you do to make it better?
Yeah.
Like an example of that, for example, let's just say, if I didn't finish what I wanted to today, but it's okay because I'll start it tomorrow at 9 o'clock.
Mm,
Full stop. Is that a
absolutely.
closure of loop?
Yeah.
So it's kind of similar to the premise of you kind of
Yeah,
plan
whether or
next
not you
day.
you go ahead and tackle that. This is I'm no expert here, but this is just my take on what he was explaining and what I've done over the past couple of days. Whether or not you
Yeah.
go and crush it the next day is completely different. That's not so much the point. The point is you've addressed it at night,
You're
you've closed
closing
it
the
off,
loop.
yeah, and then
You're
you've
not
you've
yeah.
basically answered the question of how you can address it. He does talk a lot more. That episode, I'll let you know, covers a whole lot of stuff. It's Andy Murphy is the NLP expert on the Muscle Expert podcast with Ben Pakulski. So Ben Pakulski is an ex bodybuilder, total machine. But one of the things that Andy Murphy is on there, he's the expert that talks on the
Yeah,
show.
yeah, yeah.
One of the things he talks about is that the mind is a question answering machine. It is just geared to answer questions. So unless you do the whole ask yourself those two questions before you go to bed and then answer them, it's just going to be left unchecked. So it's kind of closing the loop on the day that way.
I think it's perfect because generally a lot of people who have a lot of things or are worried about the next day, they don't want to think about the next day or about the day itself. So this is actually a little bit
Mm.
contrary to what people do, and is actually advocating, you know what, actually reflect on the day and ask yourself the question and prepare yourself rather than kind of think, oh, I don't want to think about it and tomorrow I'll just deal with it. So ironically, dealing with it right now or at the end of the day will help you sleep more. Otherwise, like, do you remember ever having a Fitbit? I think we've talked about this before, and then seeing how many times like your body is waking up, like little wake ups, because the
No,
Fitbits
I
can track your sleep, right?
yeah.
But this was years
Do
ago
you,
as
do
well.
you sleep with it on though? I couldn't sleep with something.
I slept with
I
it
couldn't
on
do it.
because I do have a little bit of jewelry, so I'm kind of used to things on my wrist, and so I did do it. And I think I remember a few years ago when I had it, it said there was like 136 movements or
Oh,
interruptions in my sleep.
I'd be rolling around all night long. Yeah, I've got some issues, but I just couldn't sleep with something on the wrist. There are those sleep apps that you can have near your bed that pick up movement, but I wonder how active or how sensitive they are. So if you're active
Correct.
during the night, I wonder how much they pick up, but I don't know.
And I think they can work out, with the heart, because obviously if you're wearing it, it's a lot easier to measure, heartbeat and
Hmm.
all that kind of jazz. So anyway, that was quite interesting. So I think that's something I'll definitely
It's
want
good.
to
It's good,
look
man.
at.
I've done it 2 nights in a row. Mine's always talking. So you'll definitely. It's not as though your mind's just gonna, have this empty space. Like a Buddhist or something like that. Not, I don't even know if those guys
Oh.
get there, to be honest with you. But it's not, thinking about all the different things during the day. Anyways, look, I'm only 2 nights in so far. I rate it. I'll do it for the third night tonight.
It makes sense. I was
Yeah.
gonna say empty space. I feel like we do talk to people who look like they have empty space, but not for the right reasons, as we've alluded to before.
Yeah, yeah. That's good. That's good. Now, hit us with what you want to recommend to me.
Mine is it's funny. Usually you say this, but I'm saying it now. Is not really as profound. It's just kind of like two little things. One is actual. You've seen this before because I've shown you before in person, but I've been taking for about the last 12 months these different kind of mushroom based powders. And the whole kind of, and when I'm talking mushroom based, I'm talking like there's like lion's mane extract,
Yeah.
mushroom extract,
Lion's
and
Mane's
it's
probably
like
the most
herbs.
well-known one, yeah?
Pardon?
Lion's Mane's probably the most
Yeah, correct. So
well-known
people
one.
have heard this, phrase, and like obviously I'm not going to go into too much of the scientifics behind it, but I've kind of been taking it because the whole benefit, supposedly what they purport, and of course this is not like a dietitian's or nutritionist advice, and it will affect everyone in different ways from what I've seen. But just something for like a bit of a boost during the day, like energy, vitality. It's good for like the gut and like
Mm.
gut tonic, the nervous system, immunity, and I've definitely found since I started taking it, there was a little bit of an adjustment period where let's just call it, I felt like we were, relaying the plumbing system, let's call it. And I think once you get through that point, it just feel a lot cleaner, a lot healthier. And just actually, and generally you have it with,
I hope
but
no one's eating dinner while they're listening to this. But yeah, anyways, go on.
yeah, correct. Hence why I kept it as generic as
Yeah,
possible.
no.
Um,
Yeah, the kids won't know what you're talking about, but the parents will, unfortunately.
It's just like all those cartoons and those, movies, where it's
Yeah.
all these random little things that you have no idea as a kid, and then you rewatch it later, and you're like, "Oh, that's what all that means."
Yeah.
You had no idea.
Yeah.
There's a lot of those,
It's
surprisingly.
yeah, that's the good way to look at it.
Uh, so and then generally all you do is, like, every morning, have it with, like, half a teaspoon, put it with your coffee, It doesn't taste too bad. I remember when I asked you to try it, you kind of tried it straight with water, and I still remember your reaction to this day.
Nasty.
And yeah, and the one in the particular one that I have is called Mason's Mushrooms by
Yeah,
Super Feast.
yeah.
So if you Google it, have a look. There's a lot of different ones that have kind of different purposes, but I do recommend to have a look. They're not the cheapest, but like I said, I've been taking it for a while, and I've definitely noticed a big difference in that. And then the other
This
thing,
comes under, nootropics, right?
nootropics.
Nootropics?
Nootropics do have one that's similar to nootropics, not these ones. There's a lot of different ones. There is one called Neural Nectar, which basically is what is it? Nooptrics. Nooptrics.
Nootropics.
Nootropics. There we
Yeah.
go. Can't even pronounce it.
It's a weird one. So it's NOO, like, N for Nelly, and then double O, new, like, cow mooing, but with an N. Nootropics.
Yeah, yeah. No,
I
that's
don't
a
know if that
whole.
was needed, but yeah. All right.
It's
It's
like,
like Sesame
thank you for
Street
that
out
spelling.
here.
Thank you for that spelling, Teddy.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
I just
Uh,
trying to contribute. Yeah.
yeah. Appreciated. The so yeah, that's that. And new, yes, whatever you just said. There is one element of that, and then that's a whole different like sphere that we could
Yeah.
probably talk in an
Yeah.
upcoming podcast.
It's in the tropics.
Something I want to get into. What you just said, and then the other thing I was just going to recommend something really simple, and I think a lot of us do this without realizing. But in light of this whole thing we're talking about, what you mentioned, funnily enough, about the closing the loop and going to sleep.
Hmm.
Something of a similar vein was with social media now. Everyone can feels, especially now, about how draining it can be. Like just kind of going there and aimlessly, constantly, just kind of swiping and looking at feeds, and you can easily. It's almost like an addiction where you open it in
It's
front of you
totally
and
an
you're just
addiction. Yeah.
mindlessly
Yeah.
swiping, right? And you're like,
Yeah.
it's bad, and you're like, what am I doing? But you just kind of keep doing it.
Yeah.
So, and then on top of that,
Like a
you've got.
couple photos here.
Yeah, correct, right?
Yeah.
And then the other thing too is that subconsciously people aren't realizing that when you're looking at all these posts, especially now of people partying, people going away, this was already prevalent before COVID, but now even more so, that it affects people subconsciously because you're just kind of thinking, well, why can't I do that? Or I want to do that. And
Oh yeah.
that's kind of what it's all built on. So something worth doing, and it's a lot harder said than done. And I know a few people have actually done this, and I've implemented it at
Yeah.
various ways, but literally just tell yourself, you know what, I'm not going to go on social media for like 3 days. Like no Insta, don't even click on it. Or some people actually delete it, like actually delete the app
Crazy.
for a period of
Crazy
time.
people do that.
Correct. But it actually
No, it
not
sounds
only does it
it just sounds
not
great.
only does it like actually give back a lot of time. So now what I do is if I have like 20 minutes spare, I'll actually just try and play a quick chess game, 10
Yeah.
minute like turn timer.
Yeah.
Rather than just kind
That's
of
great.
aimlessly look
Yeah.
at pictures, right? So obviously for some people the idea of deleting the app in its entirety will cause havoc. So
It's
do
it's
it
it's
like
doing it's
slowly.
doing nothing for the benefit of my health. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm not an artist or someone that makes money off social media,
Or a business.
and
Yeah.
most people that we know aren't, right? Everyone can uninstall these apps and survive. So look, I do like it. But it feels so like you'd almost be lost.
It's
And
almost like
the only value it provides is to just fill in those spaces where you should probably be
exactly.
productive.
There's like
You
so
should be
many things
productive
we
during
could
those
do.
spaces. Yeah, to your point, which is your
Correct.
entire point. I am supporting your point in the biggest way. You got 2 thumbs up from me. I dig it.
Thank you. And that's 2 out of 2. He doesn't have any more than 2 thumbs.
We got
Does
4
that
thumbs
do?
over here.
I was gonna say, does that mean if someone had 3 thumbs, they could technically give a 3 thumbs up?
They
Is that a
totally
thing?
could. Are we talking about like the elephant man's cousin or something like that? Or
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I didn't realize that they would even have hands, to be honest,
yeah,
let
no,
alone
I
thumbs.
don't. I don't.
But
Well, there's that
um,
optical illusion that you can't tell how many legs the elephant has because of how it's drawn. Have you
I
seen that one?
remember, I remember that.
Yeah,
It reminds me of that one with the staircase. It looks like it's never ending. Like you don't
exactly
know
the
where.
same. Yeah, it's all in there. Those
It's like
things
the
freak
same.
me out, man.
I think that's the picture book that we got as a kid, and we had no idea what was going on. But I guess yeah. So and if it's too hard to delete, literally just go. You know what? In the next 3 hours, I'm not even gonna look at social media. I'm not gonna click on the button of Instagram or Facebook. I don't even have Facebook on my actual phone. I've only got Messenger, which was purely for people overseas. So I think it will make a big difference, and I think subconsciously it will slowly seep in, and you'll feel a lot more lighter. Let's call it. So
I
that's what
dig
my
that.
tips are.
I dig
Cool.
that in the biggest way. I love that. And look, that brings us to the end of the show. You're right. It's been a little while since we've seen each other, which is probably why we've just, gotten along like a house on fire. And there's been so
I
many
just
things to
realized.
catch up on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Time has
I'm
flown.
hoping I'm hoping that listeners are still awake though. We've rocked it out to around the hour mark now. This is a record for us, but I think it's a good record, and we'll see what feedback we get. And speaking of feedback, if you've liked what you've heard, or if you've enjoyed listening to the show and want us to bring out more episodes, please jump into your podcast app, leave a review and rating. If your podcast doesn't have the ability to leave a review, for example on Spotify, then look, if you really like the show, maybe just go onto one of your other apps like Castbox or even iTunes. All right, now I'm sounding like I'm begging for votes over here. It's getting a little desperate. We're not we're not at that stage. I'm just saying, Spotify doesn't have an
I
ability to leave
know, I
reviews.
know. And I also think that we'll have our Instagram up and running. Ironically, I mentioned not to use
Yeah,
Insta, but
it's not the
I think
adventures of Teddy and Tony, is it? The little hamsters. We're going to
no,
be.
I reached out to them, see if they'll give us a shout out, but I
Yeah,
got
and
no
what
response.
do they say?
Um,
I can't
yeah,
make a
I heard
hamster
of
noise. That was pathetic. I am
that.
deleting that out
That
of
that
the
sounds like a
episode.
pigeon, like a
Yeah,
pigeon, man.
yeah. I can do a good monkey noise too, but I'm saving that for next week. Not now, not now.
Is that what you found interesting already for next week? The highlight of the week:
Yeah, monkey
practicing monkey sounds.
noises.
Uh,
Absolutely. Well, look,
no,
before we wrap up the show, now look, I'm cutting you off. You go on.
no, go on. No, you got to say something
Well,
before we
look,
end the show.
Before we end the show, I always cross over to you to see if you want to, give any wisdom to the listeners. If you just want to say something that makes sense, doesn't make sense, completely up to you. But what have you got for us?
I've got this saying which I might have said to you before, and I say this to a lot of people. It's actually a saying that my father told me many years ago. It was an empty mind is the devil's workshop. And you're probably thinking, like, what does that mean potentially? So basically, it's just saying that if you don't really occupy your mind with anything, like it just means that you're kind of like prone to things that aren't like great, whether you start feeling bad or sad, or you just kind of like wasting time, similar to what we just mentioned with Instagram and stuff. You just mindlessly kind of swiping away or liking things.
Mm.
So kind of the message is to do, like it was to be productive. And when we say be productive, it doesn't mean you need to like learn a skill in like an hour or do anything like crazy. Just anything other than just sitting there mindlessly or just kind of sitting doing nothing. Could be anything. Do a stretch, walk outside, cook something. It could be anything. Because you and I, Teddy, we're always busy doing things. But I do know like quite a few people, especially now with COVID, who are no down. They're literally just sitting most of the day swiping, and then I feel like that can lead to a lot of other kind of negative aspects and thoughts, because you're not occupying yourself with anything. So that's kind of what the saying is and means.
I like that a lot. So if you're sitting there, you've got nothing to do something productive. It doesn't have to be productive, but make it positive and go around and share some smiles with other people. Do you think that's a good way to summarize it?
Yeah, no, just definitely. You just want to keep yourself occupied, and basically, it's almost like you're giving yourself a purpose. It doesn't have to be anything major. It could, like you said, walk around, smile at some people, nod at people. Could be literally anything, but just don't do nothing.
Look, we've been doing close to nothing for the last hour, and I want us to leave on a positive note where the listeners think about not being the devil and going around and spreading some smiles and joy. You've been with Teddy and Tony on Everyday Conversations. Now, please go off into the week and spread some love with all of your friends.